Hello, my radiant, magnificent Leo souls, my lion-hearted kings and queens of the cosmic stage. Welcome back to Cosmic Wisdom, your sacred space for remembering the brilliant, untamable sun that dwells within your very heart. I want you to come closer now. Lean in and listen not just with your ears, but with the very core of your being. Let me ask you something, and I want you to feel the truth of this question ripple through you. What if the grand stage you've been performing on the very spotlight you have so brilliantly commanded is about to undergo a profound and holy transformation? What if this October is the month where the external applause fades to a whisper, not to leave you in darkness, but to force you to finally truly hear the thunderous ovation of your own soul? Yes, I truly mean it. These are not mere accidents, Leo. They are divine appointments, moments perfectly designed to stop the performance and bring you back to the raw, unfiltered truth of your heart. They are meant to guide you gently at first, and then forcefully, if necessary, back to the path of sovereign self-love and authentic creation. So if October sends a tremor through your kingdom, whether it's in your career, your creative life, or your relationships, I implore you, let yourself feel the silence. Let yourself stand on the empty stage. Let the old identity crack, if that is what comes. The breaking has its own holiness, and in the quiet that follows, in the absence of the roar of the crowd, you will begin to hear a new sound, the steady, powerful, and unwavering rhythm of your own magnificent heart. In the grand story of your life, faith isn't just believing you'll get the lead role. It's trusting that even when the curtain falls unexpectedly, it's only to prepare the stage for an even more breathtaking second act. You are not losing your way, radiant soul. You are being guided home to your throne. This is not a punishment. This is an invitation into a new covenant with your own divine creative fire. But you must be willing to name what is falling away and bless it for the role it played, even as you release it. This is not just astrology. This is your soul's coronation being prepared in real time. And your heart already holds the blueprint for the kingdom to come. My dear Leo, there are moments in our journey that feel like the final dramatic crescendo of a play, brief, powerful windows of time, where the pressure builds, the truth is revealed, and the entire story shifts on its axis. October holds such a window for you. It is a moment when the illusion may shatter without warning, and a new, more profound clarity arrives through the tension. This time frame is not arbitrary. It is a corridor of consequence, a sacred point of no return. And what I am seeing for you in the cards, the Sun, reversed the Ten of Swords, the Five of Wands, and the Strength card tested and tried, is a powerful chorus of symbols pointing to a potential crisis of the heart and ego. Now listen to me very carefully. My purpose here is not to instill fear or to predict your downfall. My sacred role is not to warn you into hiding in the shadows, but to prepare you to stand in your truth with open eyes and a courageous heart. What may arise during this specific period might not be a loud external battle. It could be an internal collapse of confidence, a sudden painful memory of a time you were not chosen or seen, or a truth delivered with a chilling lack of ceremony. Perhaps it's an email that arrives announcing a project you poured your heart into has been cancelled. Perhaps it's scrolling through social media and seeing the success of a rival, a sight that stings your pride in a way you can't quite articulate. Or perhaps it is a conversation with a loved one, where you realize with a heavy heart that they have never truly seen the soul behind your shine. Energetically, This period is volatile. Imagine standing center stage under a single brilliant spotlight, only to have it flicker and die, plunging you into sudden, shocking darkness. Your instinct is to panic, to call for light, to demand to know what's gone wrong. But the truest power lies in standing still in that darkness, trusting that your eyes will adjust and you will learn to see in a new way. This is not the moment for grand declarations, for launching a new creative venture, or for demanding loyalty and attention. It is certainly not the time to fight for the spotlight or to try and force a victory. There is a profound protection hidden in a strategic royal retreat. There is immense power in stillness. As I often tell the souls I guide, sometimes a delay is not a denial. It is divine redirection in disguise. In the sacred language of the tarot, these cards tell a powerful story. The sun reversed speaks of a temporary dimming of your light, a loss of vitality or confidence, urging you to find your inner source of joy, not an external one. The Ten of Swords is a dramatic card of hitting rock bottom of a painful but necessary ending, often through a feeling of betrayal. It represents the end of a particular performance or role. The Five of Wands speaks of conflict, competition, and the chaotic clash of egos, warning you against engaging in petty battles for supremacy. And the Strength card, this is the key. It reminds you that true strength is not about dominance or roaring the loudest. It is the quiet, internal courage to tame your own inner beasts, your pride, your fear, your ego, with gentle, loving compassion. Together, they whisper one undeniable truth: let this moment pass. Do not fight. Do not force a resolution. Simply witness the drama and retreat to the throne room of your heart to nurture yourself through it. Over the years, I have seen time and again how life's most painful ego bruises later reveal themselves as sacred pivots. The role you didn't get, which cleared the way for you to create your own masterpiece. The relationship that ended, which forced you to finally fall in love with yourself. The business that failed, which taught you a lesson that led to your greatest triumph. So often, it is the closing of a door in your face that carves the path to the palace gates you couldn't yet imagine. And that is what I sense in this period for you, Leo. Not a cosmic punishment, but a quiet intervention designed to help you build a more authentic, unshakable kingdom within yourself. In the pause between scenes, the greatest clarity often arrives. Let me share a brief story with you. I once worked with a magnificent Leo man, a brilliant performer who had built his entire identity around his career. He was up for a career-defining role, one he believed was his destiny. The final audition was scheduled during this exact kind of volatile astrological window. He poured everything he had into it, but on the day, his voice cracked. He felt off, disconnected. He didn't get the part, and he was shattered. His world as he knew it collapsed. Months later, after a painful period of introspection, he learned that the production had been a disaster, mired in scandal, and had ruined the reputations of several people involved. His failure was in fact divine grace, protecting him from a fate far worse than a bruised ego. So if October feels strange in your bones, Leo, heavy-charged or quietly chaotic, I want you to treat that time as sacred ground. Let the feelings of disappointment or pride come, but do not let them rule your kingdom. Let the dramatic events unfold on the world stage, but do not rush to play a part. Let the moment pass through you like a storm passing over a mighty mountain. The mountain feels the wind, and the rain, it honors them, but it is not moved by them. Not every call to battle is worthy of a king's attention. Pause here. Guard your divine fire and trust that divine timing, when it is truly at play, never rushes a coronation, but it never ever misses one either. When the very stage beneath your feet begins to tremble, dear Leo, and the spotlight you once relied upon begins to flicker and fade, it is only natural to question everything. Your talent, your choices, your faith in the universe to recognize your brilliant light. You may look at the crumbling set pieces of your life and wonder, was the applause I received ever real? Did I place my creative fire in projects that were never destined to burn brightly? Have my prayers for recognition and success gone unheard, or worse, been ignored? These questions, my friend, are not signs of weakness. They are the sacred growing pains of a soul that is expanding beyond its old definition of glory. Doubt is not the enemy of faith. It is the fiery trial that forges a deeper, more resilient belief in oneself. And behind that path of questioning waits a new kind of clarity, a profound peace, and the kind of creative freedom that only comes after you surrender the need for external validation. Sometimes what feels like a deafening silence from the universe is actually the sound of your kingdom being rearranged behind the curtain. In many mystical traditions, it is said that when the divine grows quiet, it is not a sign of abandonment. It is a test of sovereignty. The universe steps back to see if you will still remember you are the sun, even when the clouds have gathered. This is that moment for you, Leo. Not to prove your worth to anyone else, but to meet the part of you that shines steadily, even when there is no audience. The part of you that finds its home on the throne of its own heart. The illusions of success that are now fading were never meant to be your final legacy. They were the roles that helped you discover your power, but their season is over. Let them go, not with bitterness or regret, but with a royal sense of gratitude. Let them fall away like old costumes, making space for the raw, majestic truth of who you are now. You do not need to see the entire next act to begin your transformation. You only need to loosen your grip on the old script. Surrender to the mystery without demanding a plot summary. Surrender to the silence without demanding a sign. This October carries an energy that may challenge the very foundations of your kingdom, the recognition you've earned, the creative fire you project, and the royal identity you have so carefully built. But I need you to hold my words close, dear Leo. This is not a punishment. This is a coronation. This is a sacred dimming of the house lights orchestrated by the universe itself, designed not to end your performance, but to initiate you into a new, more authentic reign of power. The message you are receiving right now, in this very moment, is not a coincidence. It is a divine appointment. Your soul, in its infinite wisdom, has guided you here because it knows you are ready for what comes next. The universe never calls until it knows the sovereign is ready to listen. And right now, my beautiful Leo, your heart is wide open. So before we journey deeper, I invite you to do something with me. Find a quiet space. Straighten your spine as if a golden crown were just placed upon your head. Surrender to what your own royal heart already knows. If something is leaving your life this October, it is because something far grander, something more aligned with your soul's true purpose, requires space to make its grand entrance. And let us speak of those prayers. The ones you roared into the night sky, the ones you scribbled in your journals, full of dreams of creative triumphs and epic love stories. The ones soaked in a deep burning desire to be seen, to be celebrated, to leave a mark on the world. Leo, not a single spark of that fire was extinguished. Those prayers were not lost. They were planted. They were sown like dragon's teeth into the soil of your soul, working in silence, gathering power until the ground itself begins to tremble, ready to give birth to a new reality. That pressure you're feeling now, that ache of a creative heart, it is the feeling of the earth just before a volcano awakens in all its glory. Sometimes the way a prayer is answered is not through getting what you want, but through the removal of what you thought you needed. And yes, that can feel like failure. It can feel like being rejected or demoted. But more often than not, it is a sacred clearing, a blessing disguised as a bruised ego. What if the role you didn't get was your ultimate protection? What if the creative detour was actually the road to your most authentic masterpiece? What if this stillness, this pause in the applause, is not rejection, but the very doorway to the miracle you stopped believing was possible, the miracle of unshakable self-worth? This is the precipice where your faith matures, not into a blind hope for fame, but into a rooted, sovereign wisdom. You are not being punished, you are being refined. Just as a diamond is formed under immense pressure, your soul is being prepared to hold a more brilliant and enduring light. So if you find yourself sitting in the dark, I invite you to declare this aloud into the stillness. I accept the sacred dimming of the lights so that my own inner sun may illuminate my true kingdom. That is not an act of surrender to defeat. That is an act of trust in the masterpiece that is being born in the quiet. That is the strength that shatters illusions and opens doors no amount of force could ever break down. So now, I ask you, magnificent Leo, what performance are you finally ready to let go of? What inauthentic crowns are you ready to lay down? Comment below and affirm that you are ready. Let your soul feel it. Let the universe echo back your decree. Because when the stage around you begins to fall away, it can feel like the end of the show. But what if it's not an ending? What if it is a holy intermission, a sacred rebirth, disguised as a creative collapse? For you, my radiant Leo, this chapter is not a punishment. It is your preparation. The breaking of what felt familiar is the sound of your true destiny being forged in fire. You might feel like a king or queen in exile, a stranger in the creative circles you once called home. You might feel a painful distance from the very audience you swore would always adore you. You might even feel a sharp sting of betrayal from someone who once sat in the front row of your life, applauding the loudest. But none of these moments are random. They are catalysts charged with just enough force to burn away the masks and expose the solid gold foundation beneath. Sometimes you have to lose your place in the world's spotlight to remember that you have always been the source of your own light. And sometimes it is only when the old bridges to past glories are burned that you realize the path forward, illuminated only by your own heart fire, was always your true destiny. The path of sovereign self-reliance and unshakable inner joy. Someone you trusted with your creative dreams may turn away, and yes, it will wound your noble heart. But in their absence, you will find the strength to create for yourself first. The grief of that loss is real, yes, but even in the ashes, there is always a seed of a new dream, quiet, divine, and full of incandescent promise. That seed will not grow by force. It waits for surrender. It waits for the moment your inner ground, once hardened by pride, softens enough with the tears of humility to let it break through. And then, without warning, something small and miraculous will unfold. A lyric in a song that perfectly captures the story of your heart. A stranger who pays you a compliment on the very day you felt most invisible. A sudden blazing idea for a new project that feels like it was delivered directly from the heavens. You are not imagining these things. These are not coincidences. They are sacred winks from the universe, arriving at the precise moment your soul needs to remember it never ever reigns alone. Even when the audience leaves, the cosmos stays. And sometimes when you are stretched to your limit, a thought will arrive like a lightning flash. Not just a thought, but a knowing. A solution to a creative problem. A message to cut ties with someone who drains your light, or an entirely new vision for your kingdom. That flicker is holy, Leo. Trust it. It is grace in motion. Even a chance encounter can hold the key you didn't know you were missing. A book recommended by a barista, a piece of art you stumble upon online, these can shift everything. Divine help rarely arrives with a trumpet fanfare. It arrives in the ordinary, disguised as serendipity. Stay open. This is what rising from the ashes looks like. Not a thunderous explosion, but a series of small internal awakenings. Nudges from the divine, hinting at the sovereign you are becoming next. In the tarot, when the glorious Sun card follows the devastation of the Ten of Swords, it is not just a sequence of cards, it is a promise, it is a doorway. It speaks of the inevitable dawn after the darkest night. It says the most painful ego death has passed, and a new, more authentic reign is ready to begin. The collapse you felt was not a full stop. It was the deep inhale before the most powerful roar of your life. This is not the end. It is a sacred beginning. And soon, it will all make glorious sense. So, Leo, do not curse the silence. Ask it, what are you clearing? So the truth of my soul's creative power has room to build its empire. You are being invited to rise, not in spite of the falling, but because of it. Let this moment be your quiet return to the throne room of your heart. Let your tears water the ground where tomorrow's miracles of authentic expression and self-love will grow. And as you wait for that first golden shoot to push through the earth, remember this: true brilliance always finds its way back to the light, especially through a heart as magnificent as yours. Take a deep, majestic breath in. Feel that solar fire fill your lungs. And as you exhale, release a silent, powerful roar, letting go of any fear, any doubt, any need for validation that does not come from within. Can you feel it? That subtle shift in the air, that almost electric charge that signals a scene change. That is the rhythm of destiny, my friend. This October may bring a challenge to your creative light. It may expose a vulnerability in your reign, or it may gently crack the mask of the performer you thought you had to be. But please hear me when I say this: do not turn away from the quiet. What feels like it's breaking is not here to shatter your spirit. It is here to shatter the illusion that your power comes from anywhere but the eternal, unquenchable sun within your own heart. And I promise you, even in the stillness, in the perceived darkness, an even more brilliant dawn is preparing to break. If you feel the truth of this stirring in your lion's heart, if your spirit is roaring in recognition, then I want you to make a sacred pact with your own becoming right now. Anoint that like button as a declaration of your power, a signal to the cosmos that you are ready to claim your true throne. Share this message with a fellow Leo, another radiant soul who needs to be reminded of their own inner fire. And if this journey feels like coming home, then subscribe to Cosmic Wisdom so you never miss these sacred transmissions. Finally, in the comments below, I want you to write your own royal decree to the universe. Type, "I am ready to rule my inner kingdom with truth." Let that be your covenant, the sacred promise that you are stepping into your sovereign power, and we will walk this path together. Now stay with me, my friend, because what the cosmos is revealing for you is a truth so potent it will reshape your understanding of power itself. What you are about to discover may shake the foundations of your external world, but it will fortify the unshakable kingdom of your soul. Let us begin. Something magnificent and strange may already be stirring within your kingdom, Leo. You might have felt it, not as a grand dramatic event, but as a subtle shift in the quality of the light. Perhaps your creative fire, usually a roaring blaze, has felt more like flickering embers. Perhaps the applause you've grown accustomed to has a hollow echo, or the reflection you see in the mirror seems to be wearing a costume you've outgrown. That is not your imagination. That is the energy of a profound cosmic recalibration, and throughout this October, it is calling your name directly. The planets are aligning in a way that demands absolute radical authenticity. They will no longer allow you to draw your power from a reflection. They are demanding you become the source of the light itself, with major transits activating your fifth house of creativity and self-expression and casting a powerful light on your 10th house of public image and legacy. What has been performed is now being called into question. Old roles you've played, creative projects built more for applause than for passion, and the very definition of success you've been chasing are all coming up for a divine review. Simultaneously, a powerful celestial opposition is illuminating your axis of self and other. This potent alignment is forcing you to reconcile the radiant, confident leader the world sees with the vulnerable human heart that beats beneath the royal robes. It's asking, "Hi, dear Leo, have you built a kingdom that nourishes your soul, or a stage that merely pleases the crowd?" If you've been feeling a sudden creative block, a sense of disillusionment with your goals, or a haunting feeling that you are not being truly seen, even when you're in the spotlight, this is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of awakening. Your soul is becoming more sensitive, more attuned to what is real versus what is merely a beautiful performance. When the spirit senses that it's time to rewrite the script, the ego often reacts with fear, a desperate need for more attention, or a sudden, prideful withdrawal. That is the threshold you are standing upon right now. Something you once believed defined you, a title, a relationship that burnished your image, a creative identity, may no longer hold its light. It could be a passion project that suddenly feels empty, a friendship that was built on mutual admiration rather than true connection, or the painful realization that you've been seeking love from those who were only ever in love with your shine. As heartbreaking as that may sound, I need you to understand this from a higher perspective. This is not destruction. This is a divine intervention. From the lens of cosmic wisdom, these transits do not come to dethrone you. They come to reveal your true crown. They strip away the costume and leave you standing gloriously in the naked truth of your own being. They do not come to silence you. They come to help you find your true voice, the one that roars from the heart, not the one that recites a script. When these powerful forces converge, you are not being punished for your pride. You are being polished. You are being invited to discover a brilliance that cannot be tarnished by public opinion or the lack of applause. Think of it like this: a magnificent golden statue that has stood in the town square for decades, admired by all. But over time, the weather has worn it, and a thin layer of guilt has begun to flake away, revealing not decay, but something even more precious beneath solid, pure, unyielding gold. The flaking away isn't a tragedy, it is the revelation of its true intrinsic worth. That is the sacred work happening within you now. And this is not some abstract astrological theory. It is about what you choose to do with this profound moment of revelation. After journeying with thousands of souls from all walks of life, I have witnessed one eternal truth again and again. The individuals who rise from a crisis of identity, who emerge from the dark night of the ego, are not the ones who desperately try to glue the old mask back on. They are not the ones who blame the audience for leaving the theater. They are the ones who stand in the quiet of the empty stage, take a bow to the life they once lived, and ask, "What is this showing me about the light I was born to share? And who am I when no one is watching?" In the grand drama of our lives, the most sacred messages often arrive as interruptions. The project that fails spectacularly, the promotion that goes to someone else, the partner who falls out of love, not with you, but with the role you were playing for them.